In this third installment of the bathroom LVP project, we're going to be talking about some more preparation, cutting under the door jambs, scraping baseboards, and extending the surface near this threshold that we're working on here. I'll talk more about that later. It's sort of an oddball little piece, but I did have to do it. So anyway, you take a scrap piece of your vinyl flooring. It's usually about 5 millimeters thick. And then I've got this tool here, and I got this tool at Harbor Freight for like 14 bucks. It's amazingly cheap, actually. And I got a metal blade. Even though I'm cutting wood with it, you probably do want to get a metal blade because you might hit a nail or something, and a wood blade, it might get dull really quick if it hits some metal. So go ahead and get yourself a metal blade. And I would just buy this tool, even this was the only time you used it, because it makes really short work of cutting under these door jambs. Now, the purpose of cutting under these door jambs is so that the flooring will slide under it, because there's no shoe molding or anything to cover up the gap. So there will be a gap, or like a gap beneath there, but you won't be able to see it. So it'll still be a free floating floor, which is what you want. And if you cut these right, then your flooring should just slide under there nice and easy without any binding or anything like that. And you really do want to make these preparations very, very good, because you don't want to be trying to cut this later on when you're trying to put in flooring. So in this step, what I'm showing, and I'll show this again shortly, is cut into the casing, actually, because the shoe molding doesn't cover that. So you got to cut into that just a little bit too. So not only are you cutting door jambs here, you're also cutting just a little bit farther on the outside of the door jamb, so that you can get the flooring to slide in there without showing that gap where the shoe molding doesn't cover. So here I'm cutting a little bit farther in, just on beyond the door jamb, to open up that area so that the floating floor can float through there. So we're talking, we're showing pulling all those little pieces of wood out is pretty important too, because if you shove them back in there, they might be in the way when you try to slide when you try to do your final flooring job, and you're trying to slide something in there and it binds, which is definitely something you don't want, because it's a pain in the neck to have to stop and redo these. Sounds like the voice of experience. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I got a little bit too quick on doing this job, and later on had to mess around recutting. So anyway, get all those little bits of wood out there, and now we're going to prepare the baseboards. Just scrape off. You could do this at any time, but I like to do it now because the floor is already a mess, and this is a sort of a messy job. So if you get a scraper like this, a paint scraper with the blade, you get all this little, like strings of caulk. And once you go around, scrape all the baseboards, you might get caulk, you might get wood, but you want it to be so that when you do the baseboards, when you put on the shoe molding, it'll be nice and flat. Now this little piece I decided to show because I did it, and who knows, you might end up having to do something like this. But the flooring ended, and it's a 1/4 inch above where the subfloor is. So in order to extend the floor out, you have to have a nice flat surface. And I happen to have some of this old vinyl just in the attic, and so if by laying down one piece of scrap flooring and then this piece of vinyl, it was flat, so that when I put on my my flooring, it won't be uneven, because you do have to have very flat floors for this, which I didn't mention. And I'm not taking up the vinyl flooring. Obviously, I'm gonna put the floating floor right over this vinyl, but my vinyl is nice and flat. So I've added this little piece just to make that extension work.